I think the Rams have a pretty decent shot at dethroning the Eagles because I think they looked mean. Like I think they looked real good last night.
They look physical too. They look
Yeah,
physical.
they were flying at the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to do another victory lap. No, I don't. I've been saying that I love McVay as a coach all year, and I love that he was like, I think these guys are fraudulent. Like he came into that game with the game plan that was the same as my take about the Vikings all season. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. I really feel like saying you're awesome has really paid dividends for me this year because he played them like they weren't shit. Like that's honestly how they came out. And he played Sam Darnold like Sam Darnold wasn't shit. He was like, we're zone blitzing. Beat the zone and beat it in 2.3 seconds or less, or you're gonna fucking lose. And once the pressure happened to Darnold, he folded. He became the guy I knew he was all season. The Vikings became the team I knew they were all season. He was seeing ghosts. He was hearing footsteps. It was an absolute disaster. He has so many cool skill players on that team that he has playing so well. Everybody's playing smart. Everybody's reading off the same hymn book. And I mean, honestly, I think he could go in there and outcoach Sirianni and win that game. I truly do. I mean, if you're looking for a fun bet, I think that I'd be disappointed if it didn't happen. I'm not saying it's a lock. It's not a lock by any means. The Eagles are a good team, but I could see it. You could visualize it, right? Bob, what do you think? Are you high on this LA Rams team? LA was on fire last night in more than one way.
Yeah, no, I could see it.
It's okay. I can say that. I live here. It's fine.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. You look at the Rams and what they have: Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and they're finally healthy. And like you said, McVay gives them a chance against any team in the NFL. And any team in the NFL, McVay gives them a chance strictly just by being the coach.
I agree. I really do. Yeah. I think he's got that team playing so good.
And I mean, they got Tyler Higbee back, who's healthy now. So like their tight ends back. Puka he's unreal. Like what a fucking find that was. Good for him. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe how good he is. And if Cooper Kupp is healthy, like he's your number 2, that's wild. And I would just say like anytime that Sam Darnold has to throw 40 times, you're gonna lose. And they actually did lose three of those games this year. And they had to throw 40 times. That's not a good plan. And McVay, to your credit, like he knew it. He's like, just get in his fucking face fast.
Yep. And they did, and it's so bad when it's right from the jump, right? Like when the O-line starts to crumble early, like all of us have seen this. I think me and you, Mike, more than like most over the last couple of seasons. Yep. When the O-line starts to go early, it's so scary because you're like, they're always going to get run over later in the game, right? Like like the O-line's at such a disadvantage as far as like the marathon compared to the sprint, right? So you have to sort of game plan to help them out. Like let them run block enough where they're sort of the aggressor, right? But in pass blocking, it's going to be a war of attrition for the defense, right? So you always see those really elite defenses that get to the quarterback. You all the numbers, all the Mike Marcangelo data corner, advanced analytics will back this up. All the more sacks happen later in games. That's just the way it is, right? So we've seen that year in, year out in the NFL. I mean, it is getting a little different with some of the way athletes on the edge are affecting the numbers. If you really look at the data, because like, when you have a Myles Garrett, he skews the whole thing, right? Because it's like, okay, it's not so much a war of attrition. Myles Garrett's just coming in to bust the game up, right? Like when you have those guys on the field, it's a little different, but generally speaking, and yeah, that O-line crumbled. They crumbled so fast, and that poor kid, he just looked so lost.
Talking. It wasn't like he was holding it too long. That wasn't the case.
Well,
he just had no time the entire game.
Right. He was just Mac Jones.
There was a moment where he turned around on play action and he took like a 10-yard sack and he turned around and I was just picturing the angle from his eyes and it was just like, oh dude, like, there's just no way I'm not getting fucking jacked up right now. Right when I turn around and I'm like, why are you doing play action sprints backwards, dude? You need to be like doing rollouts so he can get his head around. There's been pressure like all day. It was just like such a confluence of like bad decisions on the offensive side of the ball. They just didn't look ready at all to protect him. And I do think that there is something to be said about it not 100% being Sam Darnold's fault, because that O-line did absolutely crumble from the jump. And I think there's certain guys that your O-line can crumble from the jump, like Joe Burrow in a Super Bowl. But again, we've already credentialed and discussed where we rank him on this show. That's a lot to ask of poor little Sam Darnold, right? Like that's a lot to ask of the poor kid. You said he's getting 40 million. I think after that game, he's still probably getting 30 though. Like I think we might be. I mean, he got 10 this year. Yeah, this house is nice. I don't feel that bad for him. I know that's not so bad. I think, and I think he did all right. Games. Yeah, and then became the most embarrassing 14-win team of all time in the history of the playoffs. No one's ever won 14 games and lost in the wild card round. It's never happened.
That's true. Oh, that's because usually 14-win teams are not playing in the wild card round.
That's a good point, but still, it adds to the shame, doesn't it?
Because there used to be, remember, there used to be two buys.
That's right. I'm always confused by that, actually, every year. I'm always like, who got the other buy?
The 2010 New England Patriots won 14 games and got their asses beat by the Jets in their first game.
Right. And then there was that weird year that you guys went 1-11 and you got beat out by the 8-8 Chargers, right? That happened? Because they won the division?
10. Oh, yeah. We didn't make the playoffs.
Matt Castle was the quarterback there.
Yeah. We didn't make the playoffs
season. But you were like the playoff team that didn't make it, and the Chargers proved to be like as bad as they were. That was depressing. I felt bad for you guys that year. That was a weird seeding issue. I completely forgot what the fuck we were just talking about. What did we not talk about? What is there anything I'm forgetting? Upcoming game wise, any real? I mean, anybody think the Texans are going to beat the Chiefs? I don't.
No.
Unfortunately,
no.
I think they played better than I thought they were going to in the wild card round, and I think the defense really did look ready, and I think that's really encouraging. And I think they might be able to make a game of it. Is that fair?
It's just worth noting that the last time that the Texans played the Chiefs in the playoffs, their franchise went off a fucking cliff. So as long as that doesn't happen again,
fire,
we'll be fine.
It was so funny when Bobby first pointed that out. It was so early in like the wreckage. Like, it was like, dude, it wasn't that long ago that they were playing the Chiefs in the playoffs, and they were ahead by 2 touchdowns, right? And then it was just like
it was like 20. It was more than 2 touchdowns. It was like 24-7. Yeah.
In speaking to like NFL narratives and it being scripted, if you start to hear the commentators mention what we just talked about, I would be a little worried for the Texans that they lose and they lose like a comeback. I'd be like a little worried. And then it's like, but Stroud had a down year, and then like things just start to happen. I mean, I think I doubt it, because I think it's pretty obvious.
As long as he doesn't go to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think the problem was Deshaun Watson, not the Texans, right? Yeah, exactly. So I think that there's something to be said for that. Obviously, it wasn't any better in Cleveland, so heebie-jeebies. So, I don't know.